I just have one slide. Yeah. So if you wish to get slides, this is only one slide, but I have more than like 150 slides in this. So if you scan this, you can download it. And in these slides, I have lots of difficult names of bacteria. And this word pre and probiotic, and there is something now called postbiotic. And this has been, words are being used and abused a lot in today's world, medicinal world, functional medicine world, functional foods world. You know, I always ask people, what is this meaning of this word functional medicine or functional? That means, does medicine that functions? It means before this medicine wasn't functioning, right? You have functional food, that means food which functional. Before this you were eating food that doesn't function. That means everyone was dysfunctional. And now they are moving into functional human beings. Good. So talking about this pre and pro and postbiotic, I don't want to get into how these things work. I just say a very simple thing is that keep changing the strains of the probiotics that you eat. There is different types of strains, keep changing them. Someone says, oh, I need Bacillus rhamnosus for this particular thing. I need Bacillus subtilis for this particular thing. I need different types of Bacillus for different types of things. Yes, you need. Even blood and amniotic fluid have some living bacteria which is not 100% sterile. And if you see, the amniotic fluid also has a few bacteria, but we unfortunately cannot grow them. We cannot grow them in the lab because we cannot create an artificial womb as of today. So it's not sterile. From the time you're born, even if you see a child that is born with C-section, also has a microbiome. How does it happen? Because there is some kind of microbiota, some kind of RNAs, some kind of replicable DNAs present in the womb. And the meconium that keeps on passing, that populates the gut of the child. Secondly, it's important that in the olden days, we had pickles. We used to have a tradition of giving pickles from one house to the other. So this increases your microbiota, and this changes your microbiota. Second is the fermented drinks. You have, today the world is moving, there is this very popular drink called kombucha. It's worth a few $1 billion. And they have, the Scooby and all that, So, and there are different types of Scoobies, different types of fermented stuff. These were all normal things. See, fermented foods are to be consumed to change your microbacteria. There is something called sourdough bread. I don't know if you heard. Why is it called sourdough? Because it's sour. Because it's basically made from natural yeast. So where do you get this natural yeast? You get this natural yeast from the air. So there are simple ways of producing these things at home, which you can. And then you keep on, using that same yeast for different things, the same cultures for different things. That's why if you go to different homes in India, even all of them make the curd or the dahi. The taste is different. Why is the taste different? Because the culture of the bacteria is different. So you can have those things. See, then there is some things, what we are talking about, people are getting too much into, I use this particular strain of bacteria, I use that particular. There is no single bacteria for a single disease. Secondly, there is a lot of this SIBO going on, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Now we are taking so many bacteria inside, and somebody asked a question to Dr. Sudha, I think. Can these bacteria become pathogenic? Yes, of course these bacteria can become pathogenic. And why they don't become pathogenic? They don't become pathogenic because, number one, your body also maintains certain pHs. Your body also secretes certain immunoglobulins. Because this is a symbiotic relationship. When the host becomes weak, your normal bacteria also can become pathogenic. That's why when you don't wash your face, what happens? You start getting acne. The normal bacteria on your face become pathogenic. If you don't take care of your eyes, the normal bacteria in your eyes, you start getting conjunctivitis. So your normal bacterial population are always, it's like the yin and the yang, or the good and the bad, or whatever you can call it, keep on fighting to get onto an equilibrium. Now, I remember in my hospital practice, that time I was just a resident doctor, and probiotics was something new. And there were immunocompromised patients with HIV, patients with, a lot of immunocompromised state with a very low CD4, CD8 count. What did we do? We saw by giving these particular people lot of probiotics that came in capsule, they actually got worse. Because those probiotics became pathogenic. So it's always important to assess the person's immune function before giving the probiotic. And clinically assess is very important. Secondly, about biofilm. Dr. Suresh Sotham gave a very good lecture on this biofilm. Now, biofilm is normally present in our body. And what he said, you use certain enzymes to disrupt the biofilm, the pathogenic biofilm. Even if you keep this and you touch this, there is a biofilm present here of bacteria. You keep a straw in a bottle of water and you pick it up, you'll feel it a little bit slippery. That is nothing but biofilm. Nowadays, especially for the urinary catheters, the biofilm problem is a lot. So what we do, there is a small current, there's a device that you attach to it, and that gives a small current. And this current disrupts the biofilm. So you don't have to keep changing the catheter. That, the catheter gets recharged, with negative ions. So this biofilm breaks away. Second, you can also use anything that gives out negative ions to break up biofilm. This is the electrical way, and there is also the chemical way. In this body, you can treat everything with electricity and chemical. There's nothing else. Our body is electricity and chemical, and of course, something when you go into spirituality, which I'm not talking about. But with electricity and chemical, you can treat everything. You can treat everything. Now, when you want to treat biofilm with electricity, there is a small device that gives out a small current, and that dislodges the biofilm. If you use colloidal silver, it gives out negative ions. That will disrupt biofilm. If you use, as somebody talked about, the enzymes. Now you have to see whether these enzymes are going to destroy the cell wall of that biofilm, then they will work. So, and there is something, so we talked about prebiotic, we talked about, now we're talking about, postbiotic. So we talked about probiotic. Prebiotic we talked, that's the food that they eat, which is the fermented stuff that you're going to eat, because whatever you eat, as I said, everything you eat is a prebiotic. Your bacteria are going to eat it first. Whatever comes out of the bacteria is your postbiotic. And those postbiotics are actually what we called yesterday as, we talked about the exosomes, right? And how you create autologous exosomes. So that's nothing but the postbiotic. Now when these bacteria secrete certain stuff. This stuff can be inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. If it's inflammatory, then those are your pathogenic bacteria. If it's anti-inflammatory, then those are your good bacteria. So how do you know? You just eat something. If you feel good, it's good for you. Your bacteria are good. You don't need anything. If you don't feel good, that's why every prebiotic and probiotic doesn't work for every person. Every kind of medicine, tablet, capsule doesn't work for every person. I have seen people with fecal transplant, not doing so well, because again the the fecal matter which was transplanted may have been the wrong fecal matter. So it's not that you just take one particular thing and give it to everyone. And there is something called Bacillus clausi a lot of people are using nowadays, especially in gynec. Where's Dr. Arveen is not there, no? She went out, okay. So, for creating the vaginal pH and making it, the bacteria good, this Bacillus clausi, which the papers have been published on that. And again, it's not by taking that one or two strains. You supplement with one strain or two strains. And don't go for this thing, I'm having 100 billion spores, I'm having 10,000 billion this and that. It actually doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. You need just a little bit, or an inoculation you need of what is right. And the best way to do is take your spores or whatever you do, mix it in some food. Like if you're having idli, dosa or something, use it for fermentation of that and then eat. Because you're not supposed to eat live bacteria. We're supposed to eat food that has bacteria inside. So I know I don't want to keep you from the food, because otherwise it will get bacteria and then it will get spoiled. So please go for the foods. And thank you. If you have any questions, if you want the presentation, it's here. There are 150 slides with all the names and all the biochemical pathways. Thank you so much. Namaste.